Coach, what's up, man? How are
Yeah.
you? What a freaking game. I am Bradley, host of the Louisiana Saturday Night Podcast. I got with us my co-host and offensive genius guru, master of the offense,
Always.
Coach Shane Bohr. What's up, Shane?
Not much. It's exactly what we needed.
Yeah, I'm in. Here we go.
And it will be Saturday night in Death Valley.
Okay, that's happening right here, live on the internet, and he can't even do it right. This is the biggest fail you'll witness all day. Oh, Lord. I apologize on behalf of the show, sponsors, everybody, everywhere.
Oh, man. I just got that everywhere.
I can't wait till the comments start. Please comment on that, anybody out
The
there.
can was everywhere.
Oh, Lord. Did you run that by legal first?
I did, and they said it was all good. So, all right, man. We had no cowbells in the second quarter. No cowbells.
No, and I actually had to dip out to go run one of my daughter's birthday party real quick, so I'll just switch to the radio. And if you think it's annoying on TV, the radio picks it up 10 times more. It seems like I don't know why, but it's so bad.
Yeah. I mean, what was the first thing I texted you?
Yeah, cowbells. I was basically saying the same thing. That we had some steak early, and we're like, stupid cowbells. I mean, I guess if you only have a stadium that holds like 60,000 instead of 100,000, you need a little extra.
Yeah, I'm with you. So LSU rolls in. Okay, they march right down. Well, they allow a first down to start and then shut it down. Okay, yes. March right down the field. You know, early on in the game, one of the things we saw, like penalties, we were shooting ourselves in the foot. And as soon as we got that cleaned up, we rolled. How did you like the way LSU went and opened up that game?
It's what we talked about Friday, right? We needed to come out, establish both sides of the line of scrimmage. I thought the offense they looked efficient. They looked clean. Everything you wanted to see in week one, right? That you saw in week two, but we said, well, it's scrambling. Well, now you saw it on the road. I mean, look, you got a lot of things going against you, right? It's 11 o'clock kickoff. That's odd. Something you're not used to. You got on the road SEC game, you know, and I don't care if it's Mississippi State, whatever, it's still on the road in the SEC. So you came out and outside of the first few kind of penalties, put together a pretty good drive. And I think we struggle in the middle of the line of scrimmage throughout the whole game, from guard to guard. We're just not great there, and we struggle to run the football. You'd like to score a touchdown there. But you score points, right? You come away with points on the first drive on the road in the SEC. That's what you want. And then I think we just kind of smooth sailing from there.
What did you see from a defensive standpoint? Like, we really put the clamps down on it. Will Rogers, the quarterback from Mississippi State, senior, broken all kinds of SEC records. Okay. We kind of made him look silly, uncomfortable the entire time.
I think what you saw is pressure.
Yeah.
Right. We were getting to him in a hurry. You know, maybe we didn't light it up with sacks per se, but the hurries and the pressures. And look, when you're a quarterback and you can't step into your throw or fully follow through, or you're constantly getting hit as soon as you throw, you're not going to be that accurate. I don't care at what level you are, right? If you've got 5 seconds, it's easy to play quarterback. If you've got 2, it's a lot tougher. And I just thought across the board, the whole D line as a defensive line room, thought Harold Perkins looked like he was back a little bit. He had a little pep in his step. You saw one time he was in coverage in the end zone. The very next play, he makes a sack. You know, that's what we got used to seeing.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about this, though, before we move any further. How selfish is Jayden Daniels? Okay. And what I mean by that is, look, I just needed a touchdown to Brian Thomas Jr. and needed a Logan Diggs touchdown. Like, just hand the ball off in the red zone. Let's throw a little fade route. That's the only thing I needed to hit this six prop parlay.
Yeah. Can we talk
I would have won
$200
this afternoon.
As a DraftKings sponsor, here we are. You're the reason why they make so much money. All right, let's look at your bet. -9 LSU spread. Check.
Right.
Logan Diggs, anytime touchdown. Nope.
Had all the opportunities.
Over 27.5. Check.
Check.
For LSU. Under Mississippi State 27.5. Check. Over 69.5 total. Not good.
I didn't think LSU was going to hold them the way they did.
Also, yeah, for the record, like for you to hit the under for them and the game over, they have to score basically 3 touchdowns, like right on the money, because then you won't hit the over. But
you know what?
Score. Anyway, you're the reason why the 6th game.
I just realized how impossible of a task that was. That I picked the over, the under, and the over.
Yeah, no, you're the reason. You're the exact reason that same game parlays are why they make so much money.
All right, look, if you're watching the show live, go ahead and throw your comments in it. What did you like about the game, especially after week 1 and week 2? What didn't you like? There wasn't much to not like. I do have a couple of things I didn't like. And that is, again, not getting Logan Diggs the ball at the goal line, not throwing a fade route to Brian Thomas. There are a couple ones that are open there. How about this? Malik Nabers, what do you have, like 250 receiving yards? 239, I think.
13 catches for 239 and 2 touchdowns. That's
unreal.
Got to be up there as one of the best days in LSU history.
You know, one of the things that I saw, and I don't know if I noticed this about Malik before, but he is like a thicker version of Antonio Brown. He is thick.
Malik Nabers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, 2 years ago, you didn't even know his name, and now he's one of the best in the country. I saw coming into this game, he's leading the country with targets versus drops. And you saw it today. He had 13 balls thrown to him 13 times. He caught all 13.
Yeah, unreal. Yeah. And I mean, he got hit early in that first quarter. I was freaking out. I sent you a text message. I was like, this dude's about to kill my parlay.
Yeah, the next thing I knew, he had like 150 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. And he came right back in the game.
Yeah.
Scored a touchdown like right after that. It was pretty unreal. Let's talk about Jayden Daniels. He was, I think, 30 to 34.
30 for 34.
Yeah, for 350 yards-ish, somewhere up in there. What do you think about him? I thought early on, I saw him scanning the field. He was making all the good reads. I thought he was quick to check down if he needed to. Thoughts on how he played?
Efficient. I mean, obviously, the percentage, the completion, I think they showed at the end for 25 or more completions in a game or attempts. That's an LSU record, almost 90% completion rate. He was efficient. He did he took shots down the field to open guys. Those balls were on the money. If not, he didn't put us in harm's way. And an elite quarterback, that's what they do, right? They don't put you in harm's way. And what I mean by harm's way is they don't throw the questionable ball that can get tipped or intercepted or whatever. They just, hey, instead of maybe I can fit it in there, but maybe 2nd and 7 or 6 isn't that bad.
Yeah.
And you stay on schedule.
Yeah, I would like him to calm down the running a little bit.
Yeah, the whole little like half spin, leave a leg, I'm up in the air a little bit. Like this is the 2nd game now. He's taken a pretty decent shot. And look, you saw it in the Florida State game. I don't know if you saw any of that, but their quarterback doing kind of the same thing, right? He took a hit and was pointing to the shoulder and was out for a little bit. He came back, but you got to stop taking those hits. It's that extra yard isn't necessary unless it's just sort of ices the game.
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, for those of you out there who are with the half of Tiger Nation on Tiger droppings that are like Garrett Nussmeier is the truth, like stop. Okay, Jayden, if we want to do anything this season, it's going to be with Jayden Daniels. All right,
I'll tell you this: coaches don't play people that don't help them win. Right? It's not like, I just promise you there's never a case where a coach is like, man, this guy's really good. In fact, he's so much better than a starter, but I'm not going to play him. Like, you understand that Brian Kelly has an $8-9 million a year job that I promise you he is not going to risk by playing somebody who's not as good as the backup.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And that's at any level. Like,
yeah. So Jayden Daniels, he looked like the quarterback we hoped he would be. I thought he took some strides. The offensive line played better. And look, Mississippi State's got a good defense. They have a good defense. Yeah. Our offensive line played well. I would like to see them dial it down on the penalties. Like, we were pretty sloppy to start it off. We had a lot of false starts.
Yeah.
Those damn cowbells again. Okay.
Again, you got a lot of young players still. They're still learning how to play in the SEC. And like I said, you got an early kickoff that's just an odd thing, right? You got to start your process at like 5:30, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
It's just a different schedule. It makes you off. And sometimes you come out flat. I mean, look at Florida State, right? They win by 2 today at Boston College, who almost lost the Holy Cross the week before. Like, look, that can happen, right? You don't play well. It's on the road. You give some teams a chance to stay in it.
Hey, look, early games
we didn't do that.
Early games are hard. I really like Brian Kelly's strategy. And look, I tell you, early games are hard. I'm going to give a shout out. My son's watching. It's pizza_pocket 9000. He's watching the show.
He was in early.
Yeah, he was in early at a tournament in Orange Beach today. Soccer tournament. Wasn't able to be there because we were hosting this podcast show. But shout out to him. He's playing soccer early in the morning, watching the show. Check out his YouTube channel. But look.
Is he sponsoring the show today?
Yeah, maybe, right? But look, Brian Kelly, he got the drive out early. He was blasting music at breakfast. They talked about it on the cast. He stopped at a car dealership. What'd you think about that? Yeah. I mean, I kind of like
driving by, like it's 7 a.m. You look and there's like this entire LSU production going on in like a driveway of a. I mean, look, he wanted to get it ramped up early, right? Let's wake up. Right, we cannot come out flat and let this thing spiral out of control and let those cowbells get even louder. And that's exactly, look, it worked out. It was a great plan, and he executed it, and it worked. But before they even kind of got going, it was 17-0.
Hey, look, I'll say this: historically speaking, LSU sucks in early games.
Yeah, road, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They do not play well. Yes. Like, they might win, but they have a slow start, historically speaking. All right, so
that was the game you needed to springboard you forward.
Awesome. Yeah. So when you coached, okay, what did you like? Does that stuff matter? Like, getting your team that might be a tough game to gear up for. You're coming off Grambling State. This is the first SEC game, so there is something to be pumped about that. But it is difficult. Like, what do you have to do to manufacture, or do you need to manufacture excitement?
Yeah, you do, because it's like a day game at LSU, right? The fans aren't into it. The energy is just not there. It trickles down, and you can say everybody knows when you play the Gramblings or whatever it is, you've got to find a way to get your team ready to play. And, sometimes it's, hey, you don't need it, right? Hey, it's Alabama. Enough said. Let's go to work. Everybody's dialed in. You've still got to find a way to motivate these guys when it's one of these teams. And, a lot of times it's sort of, you sort of preach that, I don't care who we're playing, right? We've got to do our process. We've got to go be us every single snap, right? That's what champions do, right? You sort of beat that sort of mantra. But everybody knows at the end of the day, it is what it is. And you just do your best to get them motivated as best you can for a game like a Grambling or something like that. But I don't know that they needed it, that kind of stuff this week. It's Mississippi State. It's an SEC team, right? Again, it's on the road. It's early. You had, this is, call it what it is. This is a must win. And it was a must win like we saw. If you come out and win this game 24-21, man, you're kind of still questioning a whole lot of things, right?
Yeah, I thought this was great. They talked about a lot of the pregame shows. We talked about it on our show. LSU needed to play like their season was on the line.
Yeah.
They certainly did that. And they came out and they kind of put a stamp on the game that says, look, we are who everyone thought we were, and we're going to be in it. We're going to win the West, Yeah.
And look, again, as soon as Florida State happened, right, we got on here and I said, you cannot overreact to this. You got a reality check, and that was it. And as long as you keep building, and I'm not saying the road's easy, but man, if you can get to that Alabama game, that break before it's 7-1, right, and then beat Alabama and then get out of there, it's just like last year, right? You climb from 14, you'll be sitting in that 5-6, area with a chance to play in the SEC championship and get to the playoffs. It's all there.
Yeah.
Right? This is not the old AP poll era where if you tripped up along the way, that was it. And all the talk this past week, and I don't, again, Florida State struggled a little bit today, was, if you looked at everybody's resume, everybody was talking about Florida State being the number one team in the country just about the way they looked, right? If you take preseason polls out of it and just say, hey, if you did a fresh poll out of what you've seen, everybody, people. So what if that's the case, right? They run the table and they end up 1 or 2 in the country. Well, you got a reality check in week 1 from the number 1, 2 team in the country. So, okay. But everything's right there. And this was the exact game you needed to get there.
So judging by the way we played this game, how we played last game, and you saw the evolution of the team over 3 games. They got better, right? Like the defense has gotten better. Okay. Yeah. How do you feel, playing in a game like Florida State to open in the season? I think it's going to matter less when there's a 6-team or 8-team playoff, or 12-team playoff. It's going to matter a lot less.
You find out who you are early.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if you lose, like, what your weaknesses are from the start.
Yeah. This is not the AP era where if you were 14-1 or, 13-12-1, whatever it is, that you could somehow be stuck at, third and you're just done. Like, it's not that anymore. Go see who. I think as the playoffs evolve, you'll start to see more and more and more heavyweight matchups early in the year.
I'll say this: LSU's offense is pretty awesome, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're really good. Okay.
Diggs look good. He, like we talked about, he's got to be the guy.
With that being said, though, like, what do you think about the running game? Like, it was decent.
He's good.
Line needs a little bit more push.
Yeah, we're not great from center guard yet. And and you saw like Florida State, like these teams are just able to bottle us up when we try to just run right at you. Right. And we've got to find a way to, get a little bit more, I don't know what it is, strength, size.
Caleb Jackson, the backup running back, the freshman, he looks
the part. Yeah. He looks good. You could tell he's a young back, right? He gets it right. He bounces, great footwork. He does a little jump cut, something they'll practice every day. He gets down the sideline. He absolutely runs over this kid and then sort of stops and wants to like stand over him. And then he gets absolutely mauled because he's just standing there. Like, I don't know if he thought he was out of bounds,
right,
or what, but like, bro, keep running, like, or do something, get out of bounds. Like,
he's the first guy we've had since like Darius Geis, Leonard Fournette, those types of dudes. Jeremy Hill. Like, we just haven't had a guy like that. Yeah. Even in 2019, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was small. Not them. Yeah, he's small. He was not Fournette, Geis, Jeremy Hill. All those dudes, right? Like
this guy is he's that home, like he can.
He's fast.
Yeah,
he can hit you. He can run over you. He can run around you. It's impressive. So I think you'll probably see as we get further into the teeth of this SEC schedule, you will probably see Logan Diggs, Caleb Jackson, 1-2, 1-2. Look, it's admirable that John Emery is stuck around. I don't know if he had any other choice really, but I think he's not the guy.
No, he's your screen guy. I mean, like, he can go. I've seen it firsthand. When I was coaching at John Ehret, we were in this huge year at Destrehan and John Ehret. We both made runs to the semis. We played in week 3, and I saw him take a screen 75 yards down the sideline, and it was scary good. It was like one of the best things I see. So he can still go. So he's just got to fit. You got to find what role he could do.
Speaking of high school, Savion Jones, man.
Oh my God,
dude.
I'm telling you, right? You told me he looked like that at St. James in high school when we played against him.
He is unreal.
Like, and then the same year I had to coach against him, and then a couple weeks later against Mason Smith, and it's like, I just can't imagine like having to coach against a team with both those guys, let alone all the other freaks we have on the D line.
He's huge and he's fast. Yeah. Oh, he ran down that quarterback. Like, he is fast.
He just looks apart. There was one play they showed again, and the guard pulled, the tackle tried to kick him out. He ended up taking on both of them. Right, that's probably close to 650, 700 pounds of human blocking you, trying to move you out the way. And he's standing his ground and still gets a hand on the running back and forces the tackle. Like, it's just scary.
We were talking about the offense, and I went to how like the running game struggled a little bit, like up the middle, right? Like we weren't getting a lot of push in the offensive line. I thought the other thing that we struggled with, if we had to pick out offensive things that we struggled with, right? Like we thought right there, guard, center, guard. Okay, the push fit in the running game. The other thing was like, once we get past Mason Taylor, our tight ends were pretty weak.
No, but doesn't he? Forget the name
Mark
of the kid. Who played. He looks exactly like him, right? Like
Mark Way.
You put him in the same.
Yeah,
jersey,
he's a freshman,
you
and like
know.
I know Brian Kelly was high on him in the spring, and coming into the fall camp, like he was pretty high on him. Markway, yeah. I think he's a freshman. Yeah, he's 6'4".
But you know what you get out of playing that kid in this kind of game is you get a freshman getting on the road SEC experience, and that's going to pay off down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. It's just and like I guess Mason Taylor didn't really pop to the second half of the season anyway last year.
Yeah, he was the same thing, right? It was just sort of that was his role. He did it, and then all of a sudden it's like Alabama game, and you were like, "Oh, this kid's a superstar."
How are you still nervous whenever we're receiving a punt? I feel like I am, man.
I don't know if nervous is the right word. I mean, we looked better today. A little more.
Well, all we did was fair catch every single punt.
Yeah, I think
which is fine. I'm always fine with that.
Yeah,
when you have an offense like our offense, just fair catch it.
Yeah, just fair catch it. There's a team in high school. I forget. I want to say they're out of Nebraska or Kansas or something, and they don't return punts.
They just don't put anyone back there.
The defense stays on the field. Their philosophy is we won. Like, I'm not going to do anything dumb by blocking, roughing the kicker and giving you the ball or fumbling a catch. He's like, we won. So the defense stays on the field, the teams punt it, and the whole defense runs off the field, and they just let them down it. So there's some truth to that philosophy. But
yeah, there is. Like, you're never going to get beat on a fake punt.
Yeah, you're never going to have
not going to happen.
Special teams blunder that's going to cost you.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Just let the offense play. I think because the chances are of you actually getting it. I mean, look, Jets Buffalo on Monday night, like we saw the game end.
Yeah, it happens at every level.
Yeah, it happens, right? Like, but I think if you played the percentages, there's a higher percent chance of something bad happening than something good happening.
Yeah, but that's like saying when you throw the ball, there's three good things, bad things that can happen, and one good thing, right? It can be intercepted, it could be incomplete.
You get sacked.
You can get sacked, right? Or the one good thing is that it can get caught. So I mean,
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. So offense was phenomenal. I want to talk more about Malik Nabers in a little bit. Let's move to the defense. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, LSU's defense has kind of been getting killed. Like and what I mean by that, killed by the fans. All right. Yeah. Media, fans, whatever. Even got killed a little bit after Grambling State, which is bizarre.
It's because you don't expect them to even get a first down, right?
Right.
But that's so.
Yeah, it's football. So. It happens. Yeah. Where did you see like the biggest improvement from week 1 to week 3?
It was the pressure that we were able to put on without the blitz. Right? We were getting to them with the 3 and 4 man rush, and maybe not the sack, but making him crazy. And I mean, you heard the announcers the whole game like, this isn't like him. Right. I mean, he's usually like 15 for 20 or 20 for 25. And I mean, at one point it sounded like he was like 7 for 20 or something. I mean, it was crazy and it wasn't like I didn't really see any drops. The ball was just not showing up where it needed to. And that only happens when you can get pressure. And I'll tell you who the star of the absolute game was on the defense, in my opinion, because I watched it almost every snap. And you probably heard his name.
What weeks?
0 times. 0 times. And that's Mason Smith.
Mason Smith.
He was doubled or triple teamed on every snap. And it's like that you could tell they decided, hey, our interior isn't that strong and we've got to stop him. And that allowed for Perkins to get there, Savion Jones to get there. There was one play he was getting triple teamed and we had a middle linebacker blitz and he got there and it was like 3rd and 3 and he still made him get the ball out quick and it was incomplete. I mean, he was the star of the game. Anytime you can have a guy that demands that much attention, there's not one stat that will show up that will say, oh man, that guy was the MVP of the game on defense. But from my point of view, he was the absolute star of that game in terms of occupying every play, the guard and the center, or the guard and the center and the guard, depending on where he lined. Like it just, you have no idea how valuable that is. That means everybody else is getting a one-on-one matchup, or you're coming free.
Right.
And you saw, I think, who was it? Was it Burns who came off the edge one time and absolutely smashed the running back? You know,
I think it was
corner
Burns.
blitz or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're able to do that because Mason Smith's getting double and triple team.
Now, speaking of Major Burns in the secondary, okay, like again, secondary got roasted the first 2 weeks of the year. Okay. I thought in terms of tackling, they were much better this game.
I thought they came up and tackled. There were a couple.
What did you see from a coverage standpoint? Again, I know that the pressure was way better, so that's going to make the secondary look better. But
it's still, even when you saw, it wasn't like they were like, oh, look, this guy was so wide open. Like, I thought we were still in good coverage.
Yeah.
Probably, the difference between a Florida State quarterback being able to put the ball with decent coverage right on the money versus what you saw today is pressure up front. Getting that quarterback uncomfortable. And so that was the difference in the game for sure.
Yeah. Where do you see like what we need to get better at from this game?
Well, you got to clean up the penalties, right? You've got to find a way, and I don't care if it's formationally or personnel wise, but you've got to be able to convert the and one plays, right? 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1, 4th and 6 inches, goal line offense. Goal line offense to me is still bad. Like why are we not under center?
Yeah. All right. I wanted to ask that because right? I don't know.
You're talking to somebody who was in shotgun almost exclusively.
I don't know.
We had big, heavy packages.
Like you guys. I don't know football like you guys, but like, why the hell are we lining up in a shotgun formation when it's 4th and a half a foot at the goal line?
I'm with you.
Tell me, Jayden can just push that right in.
Even if not, like,
and also you probably cut down on the false start penalties when you're under center.
Well,
yes or no?
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's right. Of course, but there's other risks, right? Fumbled snaps. There's all kind of. So you got to throw those things out the window. But again, I was almost exclusively in shotgun our offense. But there were a few personnel packages where we'd bring defensive guys on the field, getting 2 tight ends with 2 fullbacks, and look, we might as well hold the sign up and says, "Hey, we're running up the middle." But so what? Right? Just go execute.
Stop it. Right.
They do it in the NFL all the time. Like now that you can aid the runner and actually push them, like they don't even hide it.
But I will say in the NFL, you were starting to see some of that college formation translate to the NFL. And you are seeing 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, them lining up in the shotgun formation to run like a zone read?
Yeah. I mean, generally that seemed to be what we were running today. I think because of the quarterback evolution in the quarterback, you're starting to see that, whereas, 10, 15 years ago and everybody looked like Tom Brady and Drew Brees, like, and you got a lot more athletic quarterbacks, that run that stuff in college, and they've adapted that. Also, it's tough to run the ball in the NFL. Like you've got nose guards that require 2 and 3 people to block. So, but you watch it now because you can aid the runner. Now it used to be a penalty. I mean, they don't even hide it. They get like 3 dudes behind the quarterback and put their hands on him before the snap. And when that ball snapped, it's just like 4 dudes pushing forward. And if you can't get 6 yards or 6 inches doing that, then hey, hats off to you, defense. You won that.
Right.
But like we've got to, that to me, that's our biggest thing. Our short yardage or goal line offense has got to improve.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you.
And you can do that schematically. You can do that personnel wise. There's a couple of ways to do it, but we're bad there.
What did you think about the defensive side in terms of Harold Perkins' use today? It was much better. Like he rushed
the quarterback.
A lot more
he looked more comfortable.
He was in coverage though.
Yeah, he's got to be in coverage. I mean, if the team comes out an empty package, like he's got to step out and walk off to that slot receiver.
I thought he did a good job of covering that tight end where he had that deflection in the end zone.
Yeah, that was great. And the very next play, he's in the backfield making a sack. I mean, that's what you get. To me, you got to get him in the backfield early because he feeds off his own emotion.
Yeah.
When he starts to have that early success in the game, you can just see it in the way he flies around. Like, I'm unstoppable today.
Yeah. I want to talk about how, people were kind of dogging Brian Kelly, like can't beat a top 10 team. They're like same old Brian Kelly, like he's never going to win a championship. Like you heard a lot of this stuff about Brian Kelly over the first 2 weeks. But I'll say this, Brian Kelly went ahead for this game, did something different, trying something different that he doesn't normally do. And I'm talking about like the loud music at breakfast, people pulling off the parking lot. Like the dude is like adapting and trying to win. Right. Where I think in the past, especially over the Les Miles and Ed Ogeron regime, it was kind of like, this is what I do. We're always going to do this.
The rap of you can't win the big game or that, like, newsflash, right? Crystal sauce hot take. Sometimes those big games, the other team just had better dudes.
Yeah,
there's nothing you could do about it. Like
every time Notre Dame played in a national championship,
guess what? They were
They were so out talented.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even.
They
close.
didn't really belong there. Like they couldn't win the big game. But yeah, because Alabama had way better dudes. Like we made a run to the semis my first year at Riverside, and we're undefeated and had to go play Calvary Baptist up north in the semifinals. And they had Shea Patterson, who was the #1 quarterback in the country.
They played at Ole Miss, right?
Ole Miss actually went to IMG the next year, then Ole Miss, and then Michigan. They had a running back, forget his name, went to Arizona. They had 5 defensive backs who signed D1 colleges, including Greedy Williams. Like when we went up there with all the confidence in the world, and they beat us like 45-14, and they won the state championship, and they were probably the best team in Louisiana that year. And I'll never forget talking with some people later on going into the next season. They're like, what do we need to do to, be able to win those games? And I didn't want to blame our kids, but the answer was Calvary Baptist was just better than us.
Yeah.
Like they had better dudes. Like we signed a kid to Nichols that year, right? They had 8 D1 guys. Like sometimes so
when you
Brian
saw that,
Kelly's going to be in a position now at LSU to have the guys to match up against Alabama, Georgia, and you God, give him some slack, right? He's literally in his second year, and
I'll say
has to rebuild this thing.
Guys, the Florida State game, LSU had 300 yards in the first half on offense.
Yeah.
Like sometimes shit just goes sideways, and it did.
Yes.
And it just went sideways in the second half, and it got away from us. And also, we were down a couple of dudes. Mason Smith wasn't playing. Like, I mean, come on.
We used to always talk about, like, you can't, the Bob factor, right? That's a real thing, right? The bounce of the ball factor. Sometimes just weird things happen. It's not a round ball. It bounces weird. It gets tipped. It, goes in. Weird things happen. You say, oh, man, and you just can't. You can't draw up plays for that weird stuff.
Yeah. Other than the short yardage scenarios, what did you think about Denbrock's offensive philosophy this week?
Good. I mean, I saw, again, a commitment to running early downs. You saw some vertical shots. You saw that slot fade, right? Slot receiver is the guy usually in the middle off the ball between the outside guy and the line. But Burrow and Jefferson and Chase, those guys lived on that. You saw that Malik can get open with that. And, again, formationally, not much different. I know we're down a tight end, so that makes it hard to get into those bigger sets and things like that. But there was a good rhythm, anytime you can run the ball on early downs and get into those 2nd and 6s and medium yard down, man, the playbook goes from being like, here's 5 plays I can call to like, here's 50 plays I can call, so it just makes it so much more, at 2nd and 10, it's hard to take that shot down the field because, man, if it's incomplete, it's 3rd and 10, but at 2nd and 4 or 5, we'll take a shot downfield because 3rd and 4 or 5 is way more manageable.
Yeah. I was pretty pumped to see the connection between Jayden and Malik. I think we've all been waiting for that.
Yeah.
And because he is our best receiver. Like that dude's a stud. He's a stud. Okay. And so it was great to see him targeted that much. It was great to see him open that much. I love it. Okay. And look, shout out to Jayden. Like he threw some of those balls perfectly.
Yeah.
Right?
Even under great coverage. Those
complete. That one on the sidelines at the end, on the right sideline, on the right boundary. And I mean, he
Malik's
dropped
got to
it.
find a way to get in the end zone there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But like he dropped it right past the defensive back, right into. I mean, it was
who had decent coverage. That guy was not completely. That was the best coverage of the deep balls of the 3 he caught. So
what does Malik do to get himself that open? Or I mean, as a receiver, what do you have to do to be get 13 catches, to be targeted that much, especially in the SEC?
I wish there was like a channel where they would just show you like the route running, that the art, and I use that word literally. The art of route running is one of my favorite things in football and coaching. Like, hey, lean your body this way and give a little head nod right here. And man, you don't have to turn a guy's body much to gain the advantage, right? And if you want to talk about the hardest thing in sports, and everyone's like, oh, hitting a curveball, a major league pitch is the hardest thing. I'm telling you that playing defensive back at a high level is the hardest thing in sports, right? You have to guard and stay with an elite athlete who knows where they're going, right? That's a hard thing to do. Like if I tell you what I'm doing, sometimes it's hard but like to not know. And you saw the double moves today, and the head nods and the quick feet and dropping the hands and making him just sell that. Oh, I'm about to stop and turn in, but no, go. And you can watch the way they release off the ball. He's just got it. Some people got it, right? Jefferson had it. Chase had it. He's the next one that's just got it.
I think that's why stuff like the 3-cone drill, shuttles, and the combine matter, because if you don't have good times in that, it's hard to get open in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, they change the direction and acceleration with their testing there. I mean, that's the same thing, right? In and out of breaks and a pass route. But again, that art of leaning in on a DB, or just the way you run your body and lean in one way or the other. And, maybe I'm going to angle out off the line of scrimmage to influence him one way and then do like it. It's my favorite thing to watch. And again, he's got it.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, man. Any other final thoughts about this game?
No, it just was exactly what we needed. Exactly what we talked about it. You checked every box last week to sort of reset, and you checked every box today. I'm not saying it was a perfect game and there's not things to work on, right? I don't care what the score is. You can always find something to coach up. But this is right. You took the next step, right? Every week we need to take a step. And you build to you've got to get to Alabama 7-1, and then that game is just as important as if you were undefeated or as if you have one loss.
Yeah, I'm with you. We got Colorado State tonight. Who you like, Coach?
I mean,
I got Coach Prime.
I have Prime. I took it early at 23.5. I think it moved to 24. I don't know if it'll be that close. I don't know why people and coaches specifically will give anybody material to sort of motivate their team.
I was just going to say that.
It's the dumbest thing in the world, right? Like, I don't care if your mommy and daddy taught you a different way. That doesn't mean that Prime is disrespecting people, right?
Because he's on a football field. Why would he take his sunglasses off? He's on a football field. They're playing day games. Why? I talk all the time with sunglasses.
Also, I don't care if he's inside. You know what? That guy's lived an entire life with nothing but flash bulbs and cameras all in his face. So if he wants to wear sunglasses, I don't find it disrespectful. I don't care. It's just so dumb. And to give people motivation for no reason, like it was going to be hard enough to even keep that game close. And now you got the whole team just being like, I don't know if you saw the clip going after practice, and he's like, you know what? They went ahead and made it personal.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that. But he's like, they made it personal. And he's like talking. He's like, they made it. And then the whole team starts saying personal. And every time he say something, they try like, they've bought into that. And it like, man, if he's not your coaching style, great. But like, and to throw like a legit insult at somebody that they can get behind is just so stupid.
I love how Coach Prime, no matter what he wears, he looks awesome. Like I saw him on game day this morning. He had the white cowboy hat with the white hoodie vest. Like he looks awesome.
Like he spent a lifetime with a motto of like, look good, feel good, play good. I mean, that was his thing. If I look good, I'll feel good, and then that'll make me play good. And he's the Hall of Fame guy.
Any other games you're looking forward to tonight?
Just the ones I have money on.
You got any bet for DraftKings? You got any betting options out here? Like, what do you got
No,
money
again,
on today?
I like Colorado big. I actually took Colorado against Oregon already. They had an early line at 14.5, and I was like,
Ooh,
I
good.
like that line. It already moved to 14.
Like plus 14?
Yeah, plus 14. So I like that extra half a point for next week that I got. It's early, right? We got all day to sort of
Yeah, I'm
sit
kind of
back.
pumped.
Yeah. That's
Get
the one
LSU
good thing
game out
about
early.
now
Yeah.
you can sort of relax. Your team already won. You can shotgun a few beers if that's your.
How bad was that? That was a bad shotgun.
It's bad. I hope maybe they'll edit it out.
They're not, but I thought it was going to go way better than that.
You should have practiced it first, maybe. Anyway,
the last time I shotgun a beer was 15 years ago. So
challenge.
I'll try anything. Look, I played a soccer game last Sunday, and I was like the worst player on the field. It wasn't even close. And shout out to my girlfriend. She came to watch me. She's like, Tegan goes, "You're a legend in your own mind."
That's correct. I think I've told you that a few times.
Yeah. I'll try anything though. All right, man. LSU versus Arkansas next week. Early line on that. I mean, not early gambling line, but what's your early feeling about that? I feel like LSU smashes. It's at home at night in Tiger Stadium.
You'll think that as you're scrolling through your 9-game same game parlay this week as well. But I haven't seen them play yet, so I'll go ahead and look a little bit at it. But look, that game was, we didn't crush them last year.
No, but I'll say this: at home, first SEC night game of the season.
Yeah, like you've got all the advantages now.
It was supposed to have a cool front, upper 80s next week. So I mean,
that's nice.
I mean, I think the crowd's going to show out. So
look, there's no reason that you don't take that next step. But I want to see less penalties, and I want to see better short yardage offense.
Look, I'm going to end with this. At the end of the first game, just like LSU fans have all the time, the sky was falling. Okay. But you and I said on the show, we still have everything to play for, right? We could still go to the playoffs. We still go to the national championship. We probably lose another game and still go to the playoffs, right? As long as we win the SEC championship. Okay. So everything is still right there. We look good. We just have to keep getting better, take one step better each week. And everything we want to play for is right there.
Yeah, again, like I said in week 1, you cannot overreact or put too much stock into a week 1 heavyweight matchup. I mean, look today, Alabama's into the first quarter, losing to USF. Georgia losing to South Carolina. Notre Dame only up 1 touchdown at Central Michigan. I mean, it's football. Yeah, you don't just roll the helmet out and that's it. I mean, the other team has good players, good coaches. They're practicing too. And, you take a team lightly, you look ahead. I mean, you're still dealing with 17, 20 to 21, 22-year-old kids.
I think it's the first time Alabama played like a non-away at a
non-conference game.
Non-Power 5.
Saban's been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever see when they show all the non-conference losses that he's had? It's like 4 or 5 of them, but it's like, all these top tier teams, like that. And then there's ULM.
Right. I remember that. I remember that.
First year he was there and they lost to ULM.
Yeah. All right, man. Final thoughts?
That checked every box for me. That was a step. Everything's pointed in the right direction and they just got to keep getting better.
I'm pumped. Tigers look good. Band sounded good. We silenced those cowbells. All right. That's a wrap.
End this thing before we need to edit something else.
Peace out, y'all. Go Tigers.
Later.